Veshadharini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Yesterday we began chapter 11, and there's 3 parts to this. Yesterday, the first part was primarily focused on the playful activities of Krishna, Balaram, and their friends, and the nature of the love of the elder gopis for these boys, Balaram, Krishna, and so forth, and the comparative excellence of Mother Rohini to the other mothers, and the comparative excellence of Yashoda to Rohini, and the Vatsalya Rasa was the primary focus. Now in this part 2, the attention is going to shift a little bit to 3 things. One is the occasion of the residents of Gokul shifting to Vrindavan, and how that decision was made, the transference was made, and so forth. And then the second part of today's class is going to be what they did when they got there. And then the third part is Krishna dealing with the calf demon, who was a demon disguised as if one of the calves. So the age of Krishna is not super important, but it's important. The chronology is to a degree important. Krishna is ranging between 3 and 4 years of age. So think of somebody in their capacity. Krishna is a little precocious. He matured beyond his age, as one would expect. But that's his age, because the next section follows chapter 11, chapter 12, and our acharyas are very specific. At this point in time, Krishna was 4 years, 4 months. One of the acharyas says Krishna was 5. That gives you an idea of the age range. So between 3 and 4 is what's happening in chapter 11. Now a little bit of a background of decisions during this particular time. There were kings, and so from we're going up here in Mathura, there was a system whereby the capital was Mathura, and there was some agricultural land surrounding Mathura. So the kingdom was both the capital and the agricultural land, because enterprise was based upon agriculture. The sustenance for people to live was that which was grown from the land and the cows. So the land and the cows, but the Vaishya function was very essential for those that were in the Kshatriya function in the city. So the system was that the Vaishyas would perform their agriculture and pay some tax on an annual basis, or whatever period of time. They would bring some portion of their produce to the city, so the city could then maintain itself, and the city was then to give protection to the village people, to the Vaishya people. Kshatriyas were to give protection to the Vaishyas. So going back in time, the king named Devamira had two sons. One of those sons was born of a Kshatriya wife. Another was born from a Vaishya wife. So the Devamita had these two sons, one Shurasena, who was the Kshatriya in Mathura. Shurasena had a son, and Shurasena's son was the father of Kamsa. Father of Kamsa's name was Ugrasena. So Ugrasena, when Kamsa decided to take over the kingdom, he put his father in jail. He could have killed him, but he put him in jail. Later, when Krishna came and freed Vasudeva and Devaki, were also put in jail. Ugrasena became again the king, and Kamsa was dead. So Ugrasena was the king, and there was a Vaishya contemporary, and that Vaishya contemporary was Parjanya. So Parjanya had 5 sons. This is the reason for all of this is the very next scene that's going to go on is the residents of Gokula deciding to move back because once upon a time the two families meaning Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and his dear friend Rishabhanu and Kirtida, they were both childless for years and years, and so they together decided it doesn't seem auspicious that we will bear children. Let us move to the other side of the river Jamuna. So they shifted from their ancestral homes, Varsana and Nandagram, from their ancestral homes on the western side of the river Jamuna to the eastern side. So they established new residences in Gokula, the eastern side. But there was many disturbances in Gokula, demons coming sent by Kamsa, because Kamsa had a desire to kill Krishna. So one after the next were sent, starting with Putana. Putana was a witch, and witches, she was one of them, had powers. One of the powers was she could fly in the sky on a, like on Halloween. The Western version is a witch with a crooked nose and a funny hat. She's flying in the sky riding in a broomstick. Right? Wild Halloween. That's one of the images of Halloween. So it's the image of a Prabhupada description about Putana is that even today in the northwestern part of India, there are ladies, mystic ladies, that know the art of taking a branch from a tree and flying around on the branch of a tree. It's not a broomstick, but it doesn't say how it's done, but that's what they do. They zoom around in the sky on a branch of a tree. So she, Putana, knew that art, and she also knew the art of shape changing. So she was given the assignment to find where's the 8th son of Devaki, because Kamsa heard from Durga, the 8th son of Devaki has been born and will kill you. So he's wants to find that 8th son of Devaki. So he sent Putana to find him. She found him, and now as she found him, she tried killing him because she had other abilities, but Krishna killed him with the first demon. So now, where is Krishna? He's in Gokul, Kamsa knows. So then he sent this demon, that demon, the other demon, the other demon. They're all sent by him, his cronies, you know, hitmen, to kill this little baby before it happened the other way around. So because there were so many disturbances in, we'll hear a little bit, their summary, so many disturbances in Gokul, they had a get-together. The get-together were the sons of Parjanya. The sons of Parjanya were 5. The eldest of the sons of Parjanya, Upananda. And generally, in Vedic culture, the eldest becomes the next in line, the next king. So the king of the cowherds from Parjanya would have passed, and when it came time for the ceremonial passing on, he was named because he's the eldest son. But then he made this little public speech. It's really nice. I mean, there are different renderings of this, but a really nice rendering of it is in Gopal Champal. And he makes a public speech where the one who becomes the king has these qualifications, those qualifications. However, although my brother Nanda is not the eldest, he has all the qualifications. They start naming the qualifications that Nanda has, and says he's actually the king. He holds the respect of all the citizens here in Braja. All the Vaishyas look up to him, not to me, although I'm elder. So he officially passed on the kingdom, the king of the cowherds, to Nanda. So Nanda is the king of the cowherds, but he naturally is respecting his elder brother, and the elder brother Upananda is holding a little elders conference to decide what to do about all these problems and go pull with the demons and so forth. They don't do the math of the 2 + 2 = 4, because they don't see Krishna as the supreme, and it comes and wants to kill Krishna. They just see there's this disturbance, that disturbance, and by there are so many good pious activities, Krishna was saved, or by the intervention of providence, somehow Krishna was saved. But there's too many disturbances here. Let's leave. So they're having an elders conference. That's how decisions were made. Didn't have like a town meeting or something. Here's Shukadeva Goswami, beginning part 2. One time, having seen great disturbances in Brihadvan, all the elderly persons among the cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, assembled and began to consider what to do to stop the continuous disturbing situations in Braja. So this is a very nice illustration. The middle part is cut out, but over on the right, that's Upananda, and then there's Nanda. After playing in Madhavan, when Krishna desired to play in Vrindavan, Upananda suggested they all move to Vrindavan. There was Upananda making the suggestion. Upananda said, "My dear friends, the cowherd men, in order to do good to this place Gokul, we should leave it. Because so many disturbances are always occurring here, just for the purpose of killing Rama and Krishna. The child Krishna, simply by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was somehow or other rescued from the hands of the Rakshasi, Putana, who was determined to kill him." So there's Rakshasi Putana. Then again, by the mercy of the Supreme Godhead, the handcart missed, falling upon the child, Shakatasura. Then again, the demon Trinavarta, in the form of a whirlwind, took the child away into the dangerous sky to kill him. But the demon fell down onto a slab of stone. And in that case also, by the mercy of Lord Vishnu or his associates, the child was saved. And then, even the other day, neither Krishna nor any of his playmates died from the falling of 2 trees, although the children were near the trees or even between them. Because it's a pastime. Remember? Because that's chapter 8 and 9. Damodar Leela and the twin Arjuna trees being pulled over by the grinding mortar. This also is to be considered the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Though it was Sanatana Goswami's commentary, though it was improper to speak of death, he does so to have everyone recollect the inauspiciousness of the event in order to increase everyone's affection for Krishna. This is Sanatana Goswami again. He was protected by the Lord who spreads everywhere without fail. That's their words, Achyuta. It would be impossible for anyone else to protect the boys who were scattered all over from the falling of the trees, the tall trees. Upananda said, all these incidents are being caused by some unknown demon. Before he comes here to create another disturbance, it is our duty to go somewhere else with the boys until there are no more disturbances. So Upananda is the eldest of the 5 brothers and the elder of the village, although he's not superseding Nanda's position, he's stating his. Then comes another verse in this chapter 11 that's going to be expanded in about 20 different images. Vanam Vrindavanam Nama Pashavyam Nava Kananam Gopa Gopi Gavam Sevyam Punyadri Trina Viranam. Between Nandeshwara, that's their ancestral, and Mahavan, which is where, so Mahavan is sometimes called Brihadvan, means saying big. Mahavan, Brihadvan, one of the 12 forests of Vrindavan on the eastern side of the Jamuna. So in between the two is Vrindavan. This place is suitable because it is lush with grass, plants, and creepers for the cows and other animals. It has nice gardens and tall mountains, like Govardhan, and is full of facilities for the happiness of all gopas and gopis and our animals. So it is indicating we're going to move. The whole village is going to move from one place to the next place, but it's in between. Later, the ancestral home or Nandeshwara becomes taken, but now it's Vrindavan in between. So the childhood, the main part of the childhood pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Upananda. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commenting. We cannot go to Nandeshwara, our old capital, because we fled there and came to Mahavan out of fear of Arishtasura. Arishtasura is still there. Therefore, place between Mahavan and Nandeshwara is most suitable for living. Considering in this way, he spoke this verse, Vrindavan is beneficial for the cows, Pashavam, and filled with fresh gardens. Jiva Goswami comments, according to Padma Purana, Kartika Mahatmya, this forest belonged to Vrinda, thus Vrindavan, who attained an intimate relationship with the Lord. This indicates that it was free of all disturbances and endowed with all good qualities. The forest is described. Jiva Goswami again commenting, because it has water and grass, causing good health, it is beneficial for the cows. It's a new forest, whereas Mahavan is old and worn out since all its new shoots have been torn up and crushed by the cows. So it's a good reason to move. Therefore, let us immediately go today. Pretty quick decision, huh? There is no need to wait any further. If you agree to my proposal, let us prepare all the bullock carts and put the cows in front of us, and let us go there. I mean, we've all heard Prabhupada commenting, just see, pack up and move in one day. Life was simple. So here's how they did it. Upon hearing this advice from Upanand, the cowherd men unanimously agreed. Very nice, very nice. Thus they sorted out their household affairs, placed their clothing and other paraphernalia on the carts, and immediately started for Vrindavan. Keeping all the old men, women, children, and household paraphernalia on the bullock carts, and keeping all the cows in front, the cowherd men picked up their bows and arrows with great care and sounded bugles made of horn. And off they go. O King Parikshit, in this way, with bugles vibrating all around, the cowherd men, accompanied by their priests, began their journey. Notice in the back, there's Krishna and Balaram and their mothers. And there's Nanda at the big center image. Yashoda and Rohini, holding their sons, sat on one cart, for the two sons could not bear separation from each other. And off they go. Thus, hearing about the pastime of Krishna and Balaram with great pleasure, Mother Yashoda and Rohini, so as to not be separated from Krishna and Balaram for even a moment, got up with them on one bullock cart. In this situation, they all look very beautiful. His mother just sort of her assistant for bathing. She holds him on her feet. The feet and the baby go above a basin of water, and someone pours the water. She rubs the body of the child. That's the system. They brought him checking it out. He's next. They used to pass their time either by taking care of Krishna and Balaram or by chatting about their pastimes. Srila Prabhupada writes, thus Mother Yashoda and Rohini looked very beautiful. Either they were eager to hear the talk of Nanda, or they're eager to hear the two boys talk. In this way, they entered Vrindavan, where it is always pleasing to live in all seasons. Notice the semicircle. They made a temporary place to inhabit by placing their bullock carts around them in the shape of a half moon. They entered Vrindavan, Jiva Goswami writes, with happiness, just as the ocean gave a path to Ram. They crossed the Yamuna by tying huge carts together, which floated like boats. They crossed the junction of Mathura and Vrindavan, south of the Kaliyarada, and from where they would live, since at that place there was no people because of the huge forest. They formed a semicircle with the carts, which was commonly done, so that the goods could be fixed on the back side safely, and there was a wide entrance for cows to exit comfortably. From Adi Varaha Purana. Vrindavan lies north of Govardhan and south of Kaliyarada. Dying there one is not born again. Shukadev Goswami continues, O King Parikshit, when Rama and Krishna saw Vrindavan, Govardhan, and the banks of the river Jamuna, they both enjoyed great pleasure. In this way, Krishna and Balaram, acting like small boys and talking in half-broken language, gave transcendental pleasure to all the inhabitants of Braja. In due course of time, they became old enough to take care of the calves. So this is the graduation ceremony. They're turning just between 3 and 4. And we'll hear some of these details. Here's Jiva Goswami commenting. When in Vrindavan, in 3 different forms, was attractive to Krishna. In Vrindavan, in 3 different forms, was attractive to Krishna. Vrindavan was most beautiful. It was more pleasing than Vaikuntha. It was more pleasing than Madhuban and Mahavan. The sequence of this is Jiva Goswami. Here's the sequence. According to age. Killing of Putana. Breaking the cart. Name-giving ceremony. Crawling, walking, killing Trinavarta. First showing of the universal form. Mother is sort of looking in Krishna's mouth. Dancing for the gopis, that which we heard at the beginning of this chapter. Buying fruit, we heard in this chapter. Pulling the calves' tails. Eating dirt. Second showing of the universal form. Stealing yogurt. Being bound to the mortar. Yashoda calling the boys for lunch. And entering Vrindavan. There's the chronological sequence. So there they are. They're in Vrindavan and they like it. Now in the pastimes of Vrindavan, begin. They please the people of Raja by their childhood actions and charming speech as previously. In the same Kumara period, they began herding the calves. The 2 ended their Kumara period at the end of 4 years, though normally it ends after 5 years. So now we're being given their age. The 4 years becomes, in short while, 4 years, 4 months, it becomes 5 years. So there's little Krishna and little Balaram turning 4, taking care of the calves. Not far away from their residential quarters. So this is a new section. First was the move, now they're in Vrindavan, and then what they do in Vrindavan with the calves. And then finally comes Vatsasura. Not far away from their residential quarters, both Krishna and Balaram, equipped with all kinds of playthings, played with the other cowherd boys, and began to tend the small calves. Sometimes Krishna and Balaram would play on their flutes. Sometimes they would throw ropes and stones devised for getting fruits from the trees. Sometimes they would throw only stones. Sometimes, their ankle bells tinkling, they would play football with fruits like Bela and Amalaki. Sometimes they would cover themselves with blankets and imitate cows and bulls and fight with one another, roaring loudly. And sometimes they would imitate the voices of the animals. The picture is clear. I mean, the painting depicts more. There's Krishna imitating the posture of the peacock as the peacock spreads his tail feathers. And some, like the deer running in the forest, and it's forest life, and they're little boys, and they're just very, very playful. In this way, they enjoyed sporting exactly like two ordinary human children. Sometimes, using slings, they would throw amalaki and bale fruit a far distance. There's the amalaki fruit, and going up the tree and getting the fruit. Then comes the final section, because Krishna is going to detect Vatsasura in this playful childhood scene. One day, while Rama and Krishna, along with their playmates, were tending calves on the bank of the river Yamuna, another demon arrived there, desiring to kill them. So, why the sweetness of Krishna being with the calves is prevalent. There was this danger. When the personality of Godhead saw the demon had assumed the form of a calf and entered among the groups of other calves, he pointed out to Baladev, here's another demon. So he whispered, so only Balaram could hear. Then he very slowly approached the demon, as if he did not understand the demon's intentions. Thereafter, Sri Krishna caught the demon by the hind legs and tail, tore the demon's whole body very strongly until the demon was dead. He threw him on the top of a tree, a kapita tree, which then fell along with the body of the demon who had assumed a great form. They wanted some kapita fruits. So sometimes it was using stones, some slings, sometimes vatsasuras, wolves to get some fruits. Simple drawing. He grabbed, Jiva Goswami comments, he grabbed the demon by his tail, along with his hind legs, and twirled the demon around. He threw him on the top of a kapita tree so that the fruit would fall, and they would be used for throwing in games. There's the pasty, the same painting. Look at the guy's got fangs. No problem for Krishna. Upon seeing the dead body of the demon, all the cowherd boys exclaimed, "Well done, Krishna. Very good, thank you." In the upper planetary system, all the demigods were pleased, and therefore they showered flowers on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what happens after killing of a demon? Time for lunch. After killing the demon, Krishna and Balaram finished their breakfast in the morning, and while continuing to take care of the calves, they wandered here and there. Now there's a lengthy description. First is a shorter description of the past life of Vatsasura. Interesting. In his previous life, Vatsasura was a great demon who was named Pramila and was the son of Muru. Not Mura, but Muru. After conquering the demigods, Pramila entered Vashishta Muni's ashram and saw a cow named Nandini. Desiring that cow, the demon transformed himself into a Brahmana and begged charity from Vashishta. Let me have your cow. As Vashishta, who had divine vision, stood silent, the cow spoke. Sri Nandini said, "You're a demon, Muru's son, and you have assumed the form of a Brahmana to steal the sage's cow. Therefore, a wicked-hearted one, now you become a calf." The great demon that was Muru's son, who once became a calf. He circumvented Vishishta and the cow, bowed down and said, "Please save me." The cow said, "Oh, great demon, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, when you go among many calves, you will attain liberation." So, in the case of the other demons, it's very explicit that Kamsa had this one, that one. The other one is his henchmen, his hitmen. In this case, it doesn't say that. It just said he came to kill Krishna. But Sasura, the calf demon, this is now Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur extensively in regarding Krishna's childhood pastimes makes the following assumption or presentation, that when in each of the pastimes of Krishna killing demons in Vrindavan, it indicates the willingness and capacity of Krishna to remove obstacles on the path of a sadhaka. And this demon represents this obstacle, and Krishna destroys this obstacle, and so forth. And that obstacle. From that, so the two sources, Krishna Shiksamrita and Krishna Samhita, two books, both describing the same. Vatsasura, the calf demon, represents a childish mentality, mischievous, and too easily influenced by bad association. It gives rise to a type of greediness for sense gratification, through which one becomes absorbed in materialism. Vatsasura represents evils that are peculiar to boyhood. The neophyte is extremely susceptible to such evils. They can only be eliminated by the mercy of Krishna. If one engages in Krishna's service, this is the sadhana part, they will be completely eradicated at an early stage. Then, following Bhaktisiddhanta, this is how this section is going to end. Bhaktisiddhanta elaborately discusses in his writing of the Harmonist Srila Prabhupada's effort when he first took sannyas, he followed Bhaktisiddhanta in so many ways, including his commentary on the Bhagavatam, but also Bhaktisiddhanta, in addition to writing volumes of books, he had newspapers and other regular weekly or bi-weekly or something circulars. So Bhaktisiddhanta's in English, it's his own inimitable, formidable English, is the Harmonist, but there were also ones that were in Hindi and Bengali for just, everyday people. So his writings from the Harmonist, indicating Krishna's killing of Vatsasura and how it plays into the life of sadhaka. Very nature of childhood is not bad. It should not be discouraged. You're happy? Hear what he's saying? This is Bhaktisiddhanta. You're okay? Okay. There's an English proverb that sowing of wild oats is inevitable at a young age. The term Puritanism was originally coined to express the protest of boys and young men against any undue curtailment in the scope of enjoyment that should be regarded as permissible to them. Boys and young men claim the right to be merry and frolicsome. There's nothing objectionable, and much that is of positive value in the display of these juvenile qualities, if the attempt be made to stifle the innocent play of the boyish nature under the impression that it is an exhibition of sensuousness and for that reason is as harmful as similar conduct on the part of grown-up persons. The result is not assurance but discouragement of juvenile innocence. He who has no children is a child psychologist. Second point, the only way to stop them being misled is to get them attracted to Krishna. There are indeed black sheep that should not be allowed to taint the whole flock, and for this purpose caretakers with full sense of their delicate responsibility are required to keep watch over them for ensuring the innocence of boyhood and youth without killing their joys. But with every precaution, it has been found impossible to attain this double purpose. The scriptures say that it is not in the power of man to ensure the immunity of boys and girls from the blight of sensuousness except by means of service of Krishna. Very wise, huh? Next, point 3. The material ideal of restricting children from enjoyments in youth, which they will be allowed in adulthood, is corrupt. No explanation like the other parts. Spurious brahmacharya ideal is the same. Material morality is of no help. What does he mean? The spurious brahmacharya ideal, as misconceived by its worldly supporters, embodies the puritanic outlook. Saying we already described what he means by that. The scriptures, indeed, enjoin that everyone should serve Godhead from the womb. This is the real meaning of brahmacharya. The ascetic practices that have come to attach themselves to the conception were interpolated into the scriptures in order to ensure worldly values by this form of empiric method. The scheme requires that the laws of the growth of the physical and mental bodies should be observed and followed. Nature is regarded as the kind mother who favors only those of her children who cultivate the filial habit of prying into her secrets. And this is Bhaktisiddhanta's troublesome language. Nature is supposed to be unable to avoid divulging her secrets to her inquisitive children, although she is well aware that her children will exploit this knowledge for troubling her by harassing her to their service. In other words, it is also assumed to be the duty of the kind mother to consent to put herself in chains in order to minister to the sensuous appetites of her worthier children. Nature is assumed to do good to her children only by submitting to being the victim of their lust. Obviously, that's not a good idea. Morality is a valued commodity only on the plane of delusion. It has no locus standi on the plane where the conditions exist, where the conditions of existence are perfect. Unique way of saying anything. This is the last point. We should not sentimentally think that playful child does not need training. But then, how is that training to be done? And the indication is, child psychology or child education or parenting is in the direction of Krishna. So this and that and the other that have Krishna at the center as its place, rather than scolding and reprimanding and curtailing the model that he is espousing and encourages is somehow that Krishna emerges at the center. Now, one of the very natural methods is by hearing, by narrating stories and saying the stories again, saying the stories again, and so they become part of the life of a young child, because hearing and narrating stories, storytelling is a big part of childhood. And then comes games like the Cowherd Boys would do, playing games that are in relation to their having fun. And in Gora Lila, this is a nice example. In Gora Lila, in Ekachakra, Nityananda would be the scriptwriter and the chief director of dramas, and he would engage the children in reenacting Krishna's pastimes again and again, and this one, that one. There's nice descriptions. The Kali Lila, and the getting branches coming out of the river that goes by, or the creek that goes by Ekachakra, and then dancing on those leaves, and that's Kali, the serpent with many hoods, and do remarkable things. So just absorbing, because he's Nityananda, he is easy for the children to follow in the Ekachakra village to follow him, because he's so attractive. And then the next one, from the next one, they would ask him, "Where'd you learn all these pastimes?" He said, "They're my pastimes." That was his answer. Vigilance without being stifling, nurturing Krishna-centered activity without the puritanic, as he's using the phrase, curbing the behaviors of children that are frolicsome, because that's not good. He disagrees. It's quite normal. It's quite okay. Just direct it in a way that as it can be done, direct it in a way that's Krishna conscious. Okay, so that's our part 2. And the final section of chapter 11 is what? Bakasura. He is one, definitely. He was sent by Kamsa. And like Putana, like their brother and sister, they had shape-changing abilities. So he picked, assuming the form of a crane and swallowing Krishna. That was his plan. Didn't work out. But that was the plan. So while there's many nice things, but one of the nice things is while this playfulness is going on, Krishna, he's all knowing. His all knowingness doesn't go out the window in his playfulness. So when some demon comes, disguised as a cat, and the demon comes, he knows immediately he's also a demon, and deals with it in a way that the cowherd boys are disturbed, and the other calves are not disturbed, but the demon that came to kill him is killed, destroyed. just a little for the people that are here in the room. Before you all got here, for 2 hours, I was with a group of devotees from China. The 2 hour class preceding this class, and because it is the disappearance day of Sanatana Goswami, we spent the whole 2 hours just on Sanatana Goswami and barely finished without the opportunity for questions. So they sent in their questions. But today it's worth speaking something because it is his disappearance day to honor Sanatana Goswami along with everything else that we're doing. Repeated several times in different places. Sanatana Goswami was an exact replica of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, obviously, he didn't have the same complexion and the same ability and everything, but a replica. Seeing him reminded one of Lord Chaitanya. That's nice. And not only amongst the Goswamis, once they start going down this path, there's so many things to say. But he showed an insight with just seeing a little sign of something. He understood everything about that something. And then asked for verification. And sure enough. So how he dealt with here's 3 examples. One example. When he made his escape from the Muslim ruler, Nawab Hussein Shah, he was traveling with Ishan, a servant, to help him make this long journey because his plan was to go all the way by foot through the mountains and risking his life to get to where Lord Chaitanya was. And he just knew the destination that Lord Chaitanya wanted to go was Vrindavan, so it was like heading it to Vrindavan. So one of the places that he passed through, there was an innkeeper. There's many nice stories about Sanatana Goswami. There was an innkeeper who had an astrologer friend. The astrologer friend said, "Oh, someone's coming into your area, and they have enormous wealth. Do the needful." And so the needful plan was to kill him and to take his wealth. It was rough times, off in the mountainous region. So the innkeeper was so nice, so hospitable, so courteous, prepared a nice meal. Sanatana Goswami immediately understood this man wants something. So he asked Ishan, his assistant, "Ishan, do you have some wealth with you?" And he gave, "Yes, I have some gold coins. Give them to me." Death knell. We would have been killed by this fellow who was treating us so nicely because he wants your gold coins. So I'm going to give the gold coins to the innkeeper. So he gave this is a gift. You treated us so nicely. Please accept my appreciation. You take these gold coins. And then the innkeeper said, "Good thing you did this because tonight when you were asleep, my plan was to kill you. But you've treated me so respectfully that there must be something I can do to help you. Yes, you can help me. You're familiar with the mountainous area. Help me get on the other side." And when he got to Varanasi, before he got to Varanasi, he had paid a visit to some relative. The relative understood his situation. He was running from the Muslim king, and if he was caught, he was in big trouble. So his relative fed him nicely, gave him nice cloth and a silk wrapper, the way it's described, a garment or a quilt or something. And Mahaprabhu didn't say anything, but just looking at it, again looking at it, again looking at it, he understood. He didn't like it. He didn't like it. So I should get rid of it. So that he made a plan to get rid of it, and we got rid of it. And when he got rid of it, Mahaprabhu appreciated very much. What's the sense of becoming a renowned person when you have all this niceness? So that's not the way to go. Anyway, he gave advice. The third thing, he gave advice to Mahaprabhu. You came all the way to Ramakeli, thank you very much, because they had been sending letters to Mahaprabhu in Puri, so he came, instead of going to Vrindavan, he went to Ramakeli. He went specifically to give them association. And before they left Ramakeli, they said, I don't think it's good that you stay here long, because the ruler here is a nasty man. And he may be behaving nicely today, but tomorrow, who knows? So as much as we want your association, don't stay long. And the second is, when you go to Vrindavan, don't go with 10,000 followers. That's not the way a sannyasi enters Vrindavan. 1 or 2 people with you, that's all. So he, Sanatana Goswami, is of such a caliber that he can advise Lord Chaitanya, because it's a pastime, of course, but he did in such a way that Lord Chaitanya didn't like, you upstart, what are you doing? I'm the omniscient supreme personality of God. So it was just his intimacy and wisdom and acumen and understanding of how to do things in the proper way, in the proper time, proper place. He was an amazing person, gifted person. So we spent some time honoring Sanatana Goswami. It's nice to do, or proper to do. On the appearance or disappearance day of a great Acharya. So here we are at 7:30. Let us see if there's some discussion. Now, yesterday, little comment. Yesterday evening, there weren't so many questions. I don't know why. Maybe it was intimidating, or you're not used to me, or something. But I'm used to lively discussion. That's the best part. Yes.
So I have a question in regards to Krishna's. I have a question regarding Krishna's Yoga Maya. So we know in his pastimes, he passes but cowherd boys, cowherd girls. But Krishna so cast himself.
Yes. Would you like an example?
Yes.
I thought so. It's going to come in the next section, chapter 12. There's probably others, but it's just it's a very good example. One of the features of Krishna is everything comes from him. He's this Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. Matak Sarvam Pravartate. Krishna destroys everything. Everything comes from him. So when Krishna wants to do something, or he wants something, he doesn't have to do anything because his Vidya Sarva Shakti, so it's all spiritual potencies, take care of it. Krishna could lift Govardhan Hill without lifting Govardhan Hill. Didn't even have to say, "Oh, Govardhan Hill, rise." Just has it have a desire, whatever he desires, because things happen according to his desire, and how it happens is his potencies, which leads into your question. So, in the next chapter, that this demon was sent by Kamsa, who was the brother of Baka and Putana, that saying who mom and dad were with their brother and sister. And so he came into the forest to, one, sent by Kamsa, two, revenge. He wanted to get back. So he had this capacity, shape changing capacity like his brother and sister. And he decided to assume this giant python serpent form. And when the cowherd boys, playful, it's a very essential part of their childhood activities is playfulness. They see this giant thing lying in the road because there's paths through the forest. It's lying in the path. And then they think, fantastic, this is a playground. And then as they get closer, they see his eyes moving, they can smell the bad fishy smell, and then some of them start to panic. Wait a minute, this isn't a playground. This is a giant demon that wants to kill us. And then some other boys say, no, it's just it's a playground. But even if it is a giant demon that wants to kill us, no problem. Krishna will take care. Just as he did with Baka the other day. Chapter 12, chapter 11. So off they go into the mouth of the demon. Now, back to your question. Krishna knew, wait a minute, this isn't a playground. This is the demon that wants to kill them and me. So he didn't say anything, but normally Krishna doesn't have to say anything. Just he desires and it happens. But they entered into his mouth. So Krishna became perplexed. How did this happen? I mean, did my Sankalpa Shakti just went to sleep or something? And so two things. But then he contemplated, why did this happen? And then he started marveling. The language that's used by our acharyas commenting on this is Leela Shakti. So one of the classes I plan to present is what's the relationship between Leela Shakti and Yogamaya, because you use the term Yogamaya because that's what we're used to in ISKCON. And our acharyas use the term Leela Shakti a lot in ways that we use Yogamaya. So what's the relation between those two terms? That's someday. But so the Yogamaya potency, because that's your question, acted in such a way that Krishna became perplexed. Two things. What he wanted didn't happen. And then he became perplexed. Like, how did it not happen? How did they do this? It wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened. It was off script. And then the commentary says Krishna is marveling. Just see how powerful is the Shakti. Even I don't want. So then the answer given is Krishna wanted, the cowherd boys wanted, and Krishna yielded to what the cowherd boys wanted because he liked to serve his devotees. He puts them up and he's down. He subordinated himself. And then came another one, the next one. You're back to your question. Does Krishna ever become influenced by his own yoga by potency? He didn't know what to do. The omniscient Krishna didn't know what to do. That's Yogamaya. So that is how to rescue the boys and kill the demon. Because if he kills the demon, the boys are inside the body of the demon. What to do? So he didn't act right away. But it's a Yogamaya potency at work until the curtain was drawn back, and then he knew what to do, and he did what he did. So he's influenced by his own, but it's for the purpose of this is the a key. The purpose is rasa. He's this is the a key. The purpose is rasa. If Krishna's enjoying rasa with the cowherd boys, Krishna's enjoying rasa. The rasa that Leela Shakti wanted Krishna to experience, and that was the secondary rasa of astonishment. That's Yogamaya acting to influence. So it's under his desire, but looks like it's superseding it, like he's being covered. But it's his own desire, behind the scenes. If it's not clear, you're in the front. Go ahead. Thank you, Tamaraj. Thank you for the wonderful class. So, this boy doesn't need a microphone. Go ahead. So my question was that you said Krishna keeps his friends above him. Yeah. And not only friends, not everyone. Yeah, all everyone. Yes. So, and he's also sometimes like controlled by Shaktis when he wants to. So, does he keep his Shaktis also above him, or is there a difference? They move according to his desire. Oh. They're not above him. They move according to his desire. He's above them, and they're under him. There's the energetic, and there's the energy from the energetic. They move according to his indication. They're under him. Including this example with it, which she's raising, where he's under the influence of his own Yogamaya, because that's his pleasure. And Yogamaya understands she wants this happiness. So let's arrange it. So they arranged it. And he was happy. Does that answer your question? Yes, Maharaj. Okay. Behind you.
Maharaj, you said Krishna exhibited the universal form twice before the age of 4. First time being when Mother Yashoda saw the entire universal Krishna's mouth.
That was the second time.
When he was in the chronological order.
Yes, I remember that example. And does anybody my mind is I'm not recalling. You want to add? What was the first time? Second time.
Once Yashoda looked into the mouth of Krishna, just like while feeding him.
He was just he was yawning.
Yeah, and she just looked and she. So first time she thought it was just a hallucination. Yeah, but the second time when Krishna was brought before Yashoda, he ate dirt.
Yeah.
And she asked to see. Then she, for a moment, she started thinking maybe this child is not ordinary. And then Krishna immediately realized it was not her.
Okay. Yawn. That was the other. Over here. Really?
I have one question. What does this plan to kill Krishna?
What was this one?
Plan to kill Krishna.
Plan?
Yes.
Swallow him? Vatsasura? Vatsasura. Doesn't say, I thought you were just thinking the next one. No, Bakasura. No, it didn't say how. Doesn't say how. Because um, demons have commonly, not always, but demons have different powers. So I haven't come across any description of what different powers Vatsasura had, and which of those powers that he had, his plan was to use to kill Krishna. Next question. Thoughtful question. Anybody in the room know the answer? You know the answer?
Yeah. So Matsasur, like he planned to go behind Krishna and strike him from behind.
Strike him from behind.
Yeah, so he could finish him off.
Like kick him.
No, like hit him with his head.
Hit him with his head.
Yes.
Really? Dad?
They really so many books.
Huh?
I haven't read much, but they are more than me.
Could you do us a favor? We're gonna be together. You're here like every class, so find the passage, the scriptural reference that says what you just said. And it can be commentary or wherever it's from.
It's from the Supreme Mistake.
Huh?
It's from the Supreme Mistake.
By
Yeah.
The supreme mistake.
Mystic.
Supreme mystic. So Amla Bhakta. But he's not around to ask the question.
the book is there.
The book is there, but he's not, because you have to ask, where does this come from? But he's not around.
My understanding was that book was based on Anand Vrindavan Champur and one more book.
I have access to another Vrindavan chapel. And I'll see if I can find the answer. That's my homework assignment. And you bring that passage from his book, and we can look at it. Okay. Yes. Look at what you started. Go ahead.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. My question is the cowherd friends after Vatsasura was killed just say thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, then it's not an ordinary thing. Killing or boiling a cow around and many other demons. Can you comment a little
They're
bit
just
on?
boys. They're just playful boys. Their mood is playfulness, and they're not surprised when Krishna does something amazing because it's amazing. Just like this example, how did Krishna kill Bakasura? Why would he kill Bakasura? If this is a demon, then we'll be. So it's just Krishna does amazing things. Time for lunch. It's just like that. They're just playful. That's my understanding. They don't like. It's because sometimes there's description, but at the end of the day, they go back and tell everybody what happened today out here in the pasturing ground. And it's just like fun. And then the adults are scratching their head, wondering, are these kids making this up? And so, but it's just Krishna, our wonderful Krishna. That's my understanding of how they process stuff. Anything else? Yeah,
I mean, I think other what I've read.
that's a fact. That's a fact.
think the other thing that I read through the writings of Srila Vishwanath Thakur is because Prem covers their appreciation of his majesty, right? As Ashwarya. So it's not something that they appreciate. The relationship. So Chakravarti Thakur says this Mahamaya, Yoga Maya, and then there's Prem. And like, for example, the confusion of Vishwa Maya is not due to Yoga Maya. He mentions that it's actually due to potency of Prem. So I think his friends have that. And so they're not viewing it as something amazing, it's just appreciation in a very friendly way what their friend did.
Someone else back there? Yes.
So this demon, he represents the mischievous. That how Shiva can control it by force, make the life Krishna centric and attractive. So I understand the principle. I feel like it's still to implement my setting. But what if it seems that so as the child grows, they get more information. And what happens is that even if you try to make the life Krishna centric, they kind of lost like that aspect. That point force the Krishna centricness because we are trying to do it in a way to curb their mistakes.
Do me a favor. Speak slowly.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I got most of it. But when you got to the really key part at the end, boy, you really have to get following music. So just the last part again, not the whole thing. Therefore,
so when we try to make Krishna centric to attract the child away from mischievous attitude, what should we do if
bad association influences the children and they start going in that direction.
and they don't like Krishna consciousness? That is Krishna consciousness on the
There's no such thing. Parenting questions have no end. So much depends upon you, the child, the relationship with the child, their nature, and somebody, it depends. So what to do depends. But forcing, definitely not. Attracting. So then what is it? If you're the parent and you have a child, you have affection, you also have some understanding of their nature. What is it that provides some kind of attraction and give not force or insist or something, but nourish that, whatever that might be. Storytelling, music, drawing, this thing or that, something. And as far as possible, something that connect with Krishna, connect them, their mind, their emotion with Krishna in a favorable way. And the more you try, and they're saying no, the more you try, it's just going to get worse. You got to push back. So it depends on the child and all those other variables. your relationship. When there is from the earlier stages of upbringing of a child or childhood, an affectionate relationship, it goes a long way to helping a child at a later stage when they go through the rebelliousness. You know, you can't make up for that with whatever degree that was there that's there. Or whatever degree is not there, it's not there. Anything over on this side? Yes.
A very philosophical question. So the when there was the word sensuousness was there, I was just thinking on the path of devotional progress, the innate attraction towards sensuousness is not in our favor. It's considered an obstacle, and we must engage ourselves in spiritual activities to overcome it. I have a lot of faith in Krishna's design. Is there any benefit of this innate quality we all have? Is there a purpose, or is this just one of the lower tastes which we have been designed?
That's a nice question. Or combination. You know, another way of saying it is the covering a reflection of something that's innate, or is the covering just that, just a covering? And you know, you deal with the covering because it's there, but you want to go beyond the covering because it's covering what's, but can what's innate be be shown through the covering? It seems like that's what you're asking. And when when there's a young person of it, or a person of any age, but it's a young person that has some innate Krishna consciousness, they also have skill sets of this and that and the other thing. I mean, I don't know so much about this, but I know somebody. There's a family that I know where the teenage son is brilliant. There's probably lots of teenage boys that are brilliant. This one is particularly brilliant, is particularly attracted to and gifted in the field of artificial intelligence. And so in the secular world, it's lauded, and the other, in the religious world, it's something that's of concern. My understanding is that the Pope has issued some statements about the risk of this. You know, they're dehumanizing or something or something or something or something or something. So there's everything plus and minus. Is it possible that someone that this young man that has this fascination can become contaminated by that, or is it something that when it's developed can be directly used in Christian service and affect attitude? You know, it's just using this as an example. I'm now thinking about from the time that he was young. Because he's an exact, you know, from my experience, if there's if I've said this many times, if there's one person in my life that I feel he is a genius, it's Sariputta. I mean, it's, you know, he was always like that. Always like that, and just keep going and going. He had skills that were a lot in the world, but he used them entirely in Krishna service. So, you know, it's something that's innate and works through the covering. When well, so You know, incredible. So something that the covering can be just a reflect, what's in it, or it can be something that's not it's just detrimental and you leave it to the side. Depends. And because this is age of coloring, the detrimental seems to win. The covering tendency becomes so strong because of the age of coloring that you engage in something, and next thing you know, you're in the soup when that wasn't the intention. So there, there's risk at any stage.